Hello guys, Omni here. Today was the day. Finally, season 8 of Game of Thrones airs with its premiere episode today. And my lord, there will be spoilers ahead. If you haven't watched it yet, get the heck out of here because I don't want to be the one to ruin it for you. The episode starts with Dany and Jon in their caravan heading through some of the northern towns up towards Winterfell with their legions and legions of Dothraki and the Unsullied, along with her dragons, definitely putting some not so great tastes in the Northerners' mouths, which is greater emphasized with their reception at Winterfell. Seems to be some heavy tension with Sansa and Jon's decision. Sansa and Dany getting quite catty throughout, and yeah, but some great reunions. Arya talking with Gendry and having the little callback to him and the milady, and him always treating her like a lady Stark, something that she always kind of detested and wasn't a fan of, which was kind of a cute throwback. She runs into the Hound, which is awesome, and he kind of, in his own way, his snarky little compliment that he gives her before taking his leave. So good. Jon's reunion with everybody was so touching. Definitely the one with Arya and them comparing their swords with one another, which was really cool. But everybody seems to be questioning Jon's decision, much as you would have expected, to the point where you have even like families that just not that long ago swore their fealty to Winterfell, taking their leave and returning back to their castles. I think it was the Glovers that left. Then we had Lord Umber, the young Lord Umber, sent up to his keep to rally his troops and call them down to Winterfell. We have in King's Landing, we have Cersei still being swooned by Euron Greyjoy, and to the point where she finally gives in and gives him the good, and detestingly so against her better judgment, trying to maintain what allies she has. We finally have the Golden Company arriving on their shores, minus some elephants, which was disappointing for Cersei, but maybe it's the budget that left the elephants back in Essos. Who knows? But you know, anything that upsets Cersei is fine in my book. She's trying to pay off Bronn to go hunt down and assassinate Jaime and Tyrion if they survive the battle against the Walkers. So that'll be interesting to see how he turns about that. Will this be the turning point for Bronn? He's always been a man to do something for gold, no matter what it was. If there was gold involved or some worth it reward for the risk, he'd do it. But these are two characters that he's growing a bond with, especially Tyrion. I know he's said many times, like, if they paid me, I'd do it. But will he actually? I mean, I want to see if there's like a change of heart in Bronn, a true visual change of heart in Bronn and his attitude on everything. And it's just, you know, turning down the gold for some people he may or may not call his friends. I'm really curious to see how that goes, but I think Cersei, in true Cersei fashion, wants him to do it with a crossbow, which is Tyrion's weapon of murder when he took out Tywin Lannister. So she's a fan of her poetic justice. So that's pretty interesting as well. Dany and Jon have themselves a How to Train Your Dragon moment where they're just riding their he rides the dragon for the first time with her and Drogon. They're just like soaring through the chasms and the mountains around Winterfell, having like this grand old time. We get a little throwback to Ygritte and their little cave love, and I guess they take a pit stop while Drogon just kind of glares at Jon while they kiss, like jealous. Like I was like, you're touching my mom. that's my mom you're touching right there. And I can only assume they had hot, steamy cave sex. I don't know. Seems to have heavily implied that. There's a lot going on in this. There's going to be a lot going in a lot of these episodes because there's just so little time to wrap up all this stuff with these 6 episodes. This episode and next episode are the shorter ones of the season, with the remainder, the last 4 episodes being roughly over 2 hours to an hour and 20 minutes long a piece. So they'll be able to do a little bit more, but it's still, this episode was a little packed, and just woo, and such a good moment to just turn completely sour was when Dany with Jorah went to go meet the man that cured Jorah Mormont, and she goes to give her thanks and appreciation to Samwell Tarly, the man of the year, the man of Westeros, the hero of Saul, who hopefully will be the one writing this tale of ice and fire in the history books of Westeros. Just to get the hard-hitting news that she herself, with her own mouth and like completely stern, has to admit that she executed both his father and his brother, making him the only male Tarly left. And because of his involvement with the Citadel, on top of the Night's Watch, that leaves his house without an heir, without someone to carry on the Tarly name. And, despite his ill will towards his family, he didn't have a problem with his brother. It was mostly completely with his father, Randall. Still, he broke. And in kind of a retaliatory way, that instigated his need and desire to go straight to Jon and tell him who he is. That was the sparking moment I was wondering how long it was going to take them to reveal Jon's lineage to him. And with that moment, it just like shot into gear, and in tears and like just complete distress, he goes to Jon and just breaks it to him real. He's like, I don't know this queen. I don't know this Daenerys. None of these people trust them. Everybody in the North trusts you. And he's like, well, I'm not the king of the North. And he was like, I'm not talking king of the North. I'm talking the king of the freaking 7 kingdoms. Because listen here, Jon, you are actually the rightful heir to the Iron Throne. And he is. And the little line that he was like, you were willing to give up your crown for her, but if she knows the truth, would she be willing to do the same for you, for her family, for the true king, the true heir? And it just poses this. It's like, oh, now we're pulling the moral card here. Which one of them would be more willing to swallow their pride to support the other? Jon did it. Jon did it for the betterment of his people, to protect the North, to protect the 7 kingdoms, swallowed his pride and his people's trust in him to back Daenerys. But if Daenerys learns the truth, is she going to accept that? Would she be willing to do the exact same thing for who is by all means the rightful heir? By law. No matter what she says about the wheel and how it works or anything like that, he is also a Targaryen. He's her nephew. He's her brother's son, who was next in line on the throne. In a way, it would be completely turning heel on her initial values and perception on owning the throne. And I'm really curious to see how that pans out and plays out. What else happened in this episode? Just a lot of great things, man. A lot of great reactions, and I'm worried what Sansa's going to do continue going forward, because Dany's gotten a little bit of an air, and it definitely started after she played the game safe in last season and lost her fleet, because she tried to play smart and play safe and play fair with Tyrion's plan, and then she just goes full dragon like Lady Tyrell told her to, and burns the Tarleys, and just, you know, she starts putting down her foot on all these matters and growing a backbone and just really standing firm in this kind of like conquest-ish kind of way, this conqueror kind of manner. And I'm wondering if that's going to start to sour her outlook and her kind of colden her heart that has been so warm and full of fire when she was ruling through Essos and all of that, and coming here, finally being on the cusp of having the thing that she had strived for this entirety of her life. And she just, that becomes the thing that overshadows her moral choices or moral compass. Everything that kind of got her to this point. It's like, is it going to be the turning point? Is she going to concede and acknowledge this aspect of her attitude? Is somebody going to call her out on it? And what will be the repercussions of that? Because she's been very retaliatory lately as well. So I'm kind of scared for anybody that does want to cross her. And at this point, it seems like most people, especially in the North, a lot of tension from that, a lot of tension. We also get ourselves a little look at what's going up a little closer to the wall. The Night's Watch and the merry band of misfits with Tormund and Beric checking out the ruins of a house that we don't know. We don't know which house that they're investigating. It seems to be a keep of probably one of the northern families, and you get a little tense moment where there's just blood everywhere but no bodies, and they're skulking around the castle looking to see if there's anyone still around. And you have this great little moment, little Scooby-Doo-ish moment where they bump into Dolores, who and some of the Night's Watch who have come down to trail after the dead, just kind of bumble in on them. They freak out and they're like, his eyes are blue, when they see Tormund, and like Tormund just screams, my eyes have always been blue. And I'm just, good little funny little, like I said, that was a Scooby-Doo moment. And then, you know, they go down the hall and they find young Lord Umber pinned to a wall with body parts strewn around the wall in the spiral pattern, like they were in the opening episode of season 1 when that ended, when they went back from the Night's Watch and they found those bodies arranged in that that spiral pattern that they did, that we know kind of harkens back to the Children of the Forest, and seems to be this warning left by the White Walkers. So that was a tense little thing, and it's also a very sad thing for a little Umber too, especially with that beautiful shot over Tormund's shoulder, framing that kid's little face in the background as he's just stabbed to that wall, and you see his eyes slowly open and they're gleaming blue, and then he just lets out this blood-curdling screech and starts flailing around until they have to burn him. That was so freaking awesome, terrifying, and all of that at the same time, as well as being such a great poetic repeat and throwback to season 1. Whew, great moment, great moment. Definitely contrasts with like the early part of that scene. And one funny little thing that kept happening is like everybody, I don't think it was intended. It was, I think it was supposed to be drama. And it was just like they're leaving Bran. You always cut back in the background of a lot of these shots, and Bran's just in his wheelchair in the open courtyard of Winterfell by the gates, just staring at everybody just randomly throughout the scene. And that's just what he does and what he's waiting for. We don't really know how long he's just been kind of chilling there, but he's there for a long time. And it just, there's always like a conversation that happens, you cut away, and the Bran's just like, just there, staring at whoever was in focus of the camera at that time. Though when Sam confronts him about we got to tell Jon the truth. He's like, well, you tell him, you're closer to him than me. And he's like, you're his brother. Not anymore. You got to tell him. And so Sam goes off and tell him. He's like, what are you doing out here? You should be up in your chambers or something. He's like, I'm waiting on somebody. I'm waiting on a friend. And you're like, who's he talking about? What are you talking about, Bran? What you doing out there aside from straight creeping on everybody, which, you know, you can just do from a tree if you needed to. You don't physically need to watch anybody. But he wants to be there for a certain somebody that's coming through the gate, which wraps up the episode with Jaime Lannister showing up at Winterfell, locking eyes with Bran Stark. The moment that bookended the freaking first episode when he pushed Bran out of that window, the last person to lay eyes on Bran before he was crippled and instigated his entire journey to becoming the Three-Eyed Raven. Bran is right there at the gates. Jaime stows his horse, dismounts, removes his hood, and locks eyes with Bran. And that moment gave me chills. And with the teaser for next week's episode and what that brings, it really makes me wonder what Bran's going to do, what stance and side he's going to take on it. I really think Bran as the Three-Eyed Raven is above all of this pettiness, and that he knows the truth about Jaime's intentions, Jaime's journey, Jaime's life, everything that made him out there, and maybe even be appreciative for being the spark that started Bran's journey to get to this point. So I think if any indication is there, I think Bran along with Brienne are going to be fully backing Jaime in his play. And he's also going to bring the sour news that Cersei's not sending any troops north, and he came there to fight the good fight because that's what he's meant to do. Or that's what he feels that he's meant to do, and that's what he feels is the right thing to do. Jaime is such a strong, well-developed character, and he has had the biggest turnaround throughout these series, episodes, and seasons, and it is amazing to see like where he started and where he is now, and I love all of it. You know, I might not agree with everything he does, or how he handles a lot of different situations, but you got to admire his growth and that he's taking responsibility for everything that he's done, everything he used to stand for as well. And it comes into play that, you know, I feel like he was always this character. It was kind of Westerosi society that turned him into what we knew him as when we were introduced to him. And I'm not talking about his relationship with Cersei, because that's clearly him. That's clearly him and their relationship. He loves her completely. But who he was as a person, as a personality, as a human being, he was someone who truly did believe in the right thing. And he got shunned, cast out, and ostracized and shamed, dishonored for doing something that literally saved thousands of people's lives. He broke his oath. He is the oath breaker. He is the Kingslayer because he killed the Mad King. But he did what he thought was right. And, you know, he may have had privilege. He may have had, you know, everything kind of handed to him throughout his life, though he worked to be the best swordsman that he was. He wasn't book smart. He wasn't great at reading, but he could fight and he could do everything he could to be the strongest knight that he could be. And when it came down to it, honor or lives, he chose lives and took out the Mad King. He didn't do it because he wanted the throne. He didn't do it because he had any kind of ulterior motive. Sure, maybe it was to spare his family or anything like that. No, but he did it for the greater good of Westeros. And I think what we saw with his character was a case of, no matter what, the people themselves saw that as a slight, as a betrayal of his role as a knight, as the hand of the king, as a king's guard. He betrayed everything he stood for by stabbing his king, whether or not it was for the greater good or not. Nobody saw that nobody weighed that in their judgment of him. Everybody was ready to judge him as the Kingslayer, as an oath breaker, as that. And that became his life after that. And after a while being told you're something over and over and over again, just to push out the noise around you, sometimes you become the thing they say. And, you know, it could have just been a spite. I think it was more of a spite thing that he just kind of, it was like, if that's what they think of me, then I'm just gonna embrace that, because that's the only way I'm gonna get by in this world. I have to own what they're all calling me. And like, it's one of these things, like, after you call somebody something over and over again, that's all they ever hear from anybody they talk to, they start to believe it, and then they start to embody that. And I think starting with his relationship with Brienne, she finally saw the real side of Jaime that was in there and dug him out of that spiritual pit that he had dug. Him and society have both dug for him. He was lost. The real Jaime Lannister was lost in all of the noise because of the public reaction to his version of justice. And he's finally being able to be himself and be true to himself and his actual core values that he had when he was a young, inspiring knight. And I love it. I love that whole turn. Sorry, we got whole flipped around, and I think most of that's coming out because the clip for next week shows us him on trial with Dany, Jon, and everybody else at Winterfell held, and they're talking about, well, the fact that he killed Dany's dad. And it's just like, Jaime has paid his dues. In all respect, I think he's paid his dues, and I think he's truly trying to redeem himself and do the right thing. And he's proven that by abandoning King's Landing altogether, disowning his house and his love and all of that to do what he thinks is right for the realm. And at the end of the day, I hope the rest of them see it. But we'll see. We'll find out next week. We'll do our little recap, my thoughts on all that. Sorry for rambling for so long. I'm not sure how long what kind of time stamp we're looking at this moment. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to know what you guys think. What are some standout moments from the episode? What are some things that you are looking forward to in the next episode, or just in general to see in this season before the show ends? Leave all that down in the comments below. Let's have a conversation. I love hearing y'all's thoughts and engaging you guys in a active conversation down in the comments below. We're a small enough channel. We can get away with that. It's not too hard to keep up with everything. But yeah, if you like this, feel free to check out my other videos. And this might be something we do from here on out. I don't know. This is a new thing I'm trying. So if it works, it works. If not, oh well. I like talking about this stuff. So that's it for now, guys. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you all for watching, and you all take care.